Good evening. It's a pleasure to have your company. My name is Gloria Mutesi. Let's begin tonight's broadcast with a communique from the Office of the Prime Minister, pursuant to the Constitution of the Republic of Rwanda of 2003, revised in 2015, especially in its Article 112, pursuant also to Article 14 of the Law number 73/2013 of 11th September 2013, determining the powers, mission, organization and functioning of the National Intelligence and Security Service as modified and complemented to date. His Excellency, the President has appointed the following officials in the National Intelligence and Security Service. Colonel Jean-Paul Nyiributama as the Deputy Secretary General and the Director General of External Intelligence and Security. SCP Linda Nkuranga as the Director General of Immigration and Emigration. Done at Kigali on the 6th of September 2021, signed by the Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente on behalf of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. Now, President Paul Kagame has asked the judiciary to safeguard the general public from criminals and crimes committed using technology. The President made the statement at a ceremony to launch the 2021-2022 judicial year. Stationary begins our coverage tonight.
Ever since the COVID-19 pandemic was first detected back in March last year, all of Rwanda's sectors have had to adapt, not least of all the judicial system. And this is evident in the fact that close to 80% of the almost 75,000 cases that were tried in the country during the 2020-2021 judicial year were done using video conferencing. Useful as it is, technology does present new dangers.
Leta ishishikariza abaturarwanda gukoresha ikoranabuhanga.
The government encourages Rwandans to use technology, especially mobile phones, to do business and carry out financial transactions. It is therefore necessary to reinforce security measures to ensure that people do not fall victim to conmen and other criminals in this way, especially those who do not know how to properly use such technology. We must protect them at all costs. I have been told that some of the computers you use are so outdated they cannot keep up with the latest technology. I'm not sure if that information is true, but I believe most of it is accurate. Therefore, I want us to work with the relevant authorities, the Chief Justice and other judges. I want us to help them so that the problem is resolved quickly. That includes other issues that may be related to this one.
The
2020 Rwanda governance scorecard indicated that the judicial sector had 81.89%, but that does not mean it does not have problems and they are dealt with accordingly.
Intego yo gutanga ubutabera bunoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika.
The objective of properly dispensing justice, Your Excellency, cannot be attained if the behavior of judges and other court officials is not looked into. The High Council of the Judiciary therefore does that and takes action against those found to be behaving contrary to the code of the profession. In line with that, during the last judicial year, 1 judge and 3 court bailiffs faced disciplinary action that includes dismissal, the removal from leadership positions and suspension. On his part, President Paul Kagame pointed out that some things simply cannot be tolerated in the justice sector.
Abantu bagana inkiko bizeye ko abacamanza babatega amatwi.
People who seek services from courts of law expect judges to listen to the case with impartiality, ruling based on testimony and other evidence provided in the trial. That is how it should be done and what the law requires. However, we still hear of incidents of judges and others that work with them, holding out their hands so that they may be given something. Such behavior is bad, and we have talked about this many times. It is behavior that should be eradicated. The strain on the judicial sector caused by the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic is expected to lighten as the pandemic is slowly defeated, though technology will continue to be an important part of its operations.
President Paul Kagame has again urged Rwandans to realize that the responsibility of nation building is everyone's responsibility and that leaders are supposed to support the efforts of the people to this end by providing ways in which the objective can be attained. The president made the call on Monday as newly appointed officials took their oath of office.
ndahiriye u Rwanda ku mugaragaro.
Those to take their oaths in the presence of the head of state were Dr. Jean Damascene Bizimana, who heads the recently created Ministry of National Unity and Civic Engagement, Lieutenant General Mubarak Muganga, who is the new RDF Army Chief of Staff, CG Juvenal Barizamunda, who is the Commissioner General of the Rwanda Correctional Service, DCG Chantal Ujeneza, the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of administration and personnel at the Rwanda National Police, and Colonel Jean-Paul Nyirubutama of the National Intelligence and Security Services. President Paul Kagame asked the new leaders to properly fulfill their responsibilities and avoid past mistakes.
kubaka igihugu rero ni inshingano ya buri munyarwanda.
Building the country is therefore the responsibility of every Rwandan because this country belongs to us all. What we therefore expect of these leaders is to help us to perfect and carry out the objectives and how to do it. I believe what also needs to be reminded is that we have been carrying out these responsibilities for a long time now, encountering and doing many different things. We should learn lessons so that past mistakes are not repeated and learn new approaches that match the times we now live in. The president also urged leaders to play their part as the country continues to fight the COVID-19 pandemic.
ndagira ngo rero nibutse gusa ko ibyo byose twifuriza abanyarwanda ubuzima bwiza.
I therefore want to remind you that all of those things we desire for the Rwandan people, good health, ourselves included, during this pandemic that is negatively affecting the lives of people, with all the measures in place for people to protect themselves and for the pandemic itself to be contained. I want to therefore point out that among all of the responsibilities facing us, that too is included, which is the pursuit of good health for ourselves as leaders, but most especially the people we lead when carrying out all these responsibilities.
bwacu nk'abayobozi cyangwa cyane abo tuyobora muri imirimo yose.
President Kagame pointed out that all the leaders who took their oath had prior responsibilities elsewhere and should therefore draw on that experience. He also reminded them that they should be willing to sacrifice for the sake of the people and use teamwork to succeed in their new responsibilities.
Now, people living in areas around Steel Gwa Industries Limited in Ramagana district are concerned over the potentially hazardous air pollution, and they believe they are being affected by it. Meanwhile, an industrial emissions inspection activity was carried out while evaluating the air quality in Kigali city. Let's now hear from Gabi Muvoni.
Even though the Rwanda Environment Management Authority monitors industrial emissions, the residents living in areas around Steel Gwa Industries Limited have expressed concerns on emissions from the factory, saying they are worried it may affect their health. When the smoke from the factories goes up in the air, there are times we see some particles in the smoke, which can go into our water or into our eyes. And for the young children that cannot protect themselves, it affects them. We are lucky we are able to wear masks. For instance, I am ill, I am diabetic, and I have hypertension. In some cases, I find it hard to breathe. The general manager of Steel Gwa Industry Limited explains that they have done their best in investing 400 million worth of machines that help prevent fumes which pollute the air.
Around $400,000 in the equipment we have already invested. Few more equipments we are working on it, on the design. So more investment will come because it has to match with the furnace, from the roof. So many things has to change. So we are working on that also. So coming next time, 1 year, 2 years down the line, further you will see the improvement. So what we are doing, we are going step by step. Once we have taken one step, we stabilize there, then again we take another jump. That's how we are going. Now what happens? Suppose the fume is going like this. Suddenly the air direction changes, right? Suddenly the clouds have come. It's a very this thing. So the smoke settles down sometimes. So you see, smoke is too much. But right now, can you see smoke?
An industrial emission inspection activity was carried out in Kigali's Special Economic Zone while evaluating the air quality in Kigali City. The Deputy Director General of REMA highlights the results of the inspection and the measures they plan to enforce in order to reduce air pollution.
Same applies to factories that release smoke that can pollute the air we breathe. We urge every factory to follow the standard measures. Not only the factories but also neighboring residents need explanations in order to solve any concern they may have.
The DDG stressed that some parts of Kigali City are severely affected by this issue.
It is evident that in areas in Nyabugogo, Chimirongo and in Gisementi, the air pollution levels are quite high. When the indicator is red, it means that the situation is bad and can have negative effects on people's health. However, in other places across Kigali and here at the Special Economic Zone, the indicator shows orange.
A study carried out by the United Nations Environment Programme indicates that there are 7 million premature babies that die each year due to air pollution. Every September 7th, Rwanda joins the rest of the world in celebrating the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Skies under the theme Healthy Air, Healthy Planet, which emphasizes the health aspect of air pollution, especially considering the COVID-19 pandemic. Gabi Muvunyi, reporting for RTV News.
Many thanks, Gabi Muvunyi. Now let's stay on environmental issues where health experts are urging people to be careful not to breathe in polluted air from polluted areas because it can cause life-threatening respiratory illnesses. Medical experts also argue that the gases emitted into the air can be the source of mutation of viruses and bacteria. A cross-section of residents say they are concerned about the effects of air pollution on their lives.
These emissions could cause respiratory issues for people. For instance, with vehicle emissions, sometimes a car could pass you and cause you to feel nauseated because of the emissions.
One could be affected in various ways by these emissions, such as allergies, flu, and other diseases. Environmentalists note that pollutants fall into various categories, including emissions from vehicles, industries, tobacco smoke, burning waste, engine waste, and many more. Dr. Babane Jean-Felix, an internal medicine specialist at Sehashka Hospital, says it's been established that polluted air causes some diseases.
For instance, people with asthma, they already have breathing complications. A person with asthma suffers from shortness of breath and dry cough and could result to death sometimes. The other is allergic diseases, including sinuses. People with sinuses suffer from nasal congestion and sneezing. All these are diseases and are serious and expensive to treat.
Dr. Felix says that there are some things people can do to prevent them from being affected by the gas emissions.
Starting with tobacco smoke that causes chronic bronchitis, that is something people can avoid. They could avoid cooking from within the house because it affects their breathing. We urge that every effort should be made to reduce carbon dioxide emissions because the earth has no boundaries. Wherever anyone is, they can breathe those gases. People should use less carbon dioxide because it can damage their respiratory system.
Medical experts also argue that gases emitted into the air can be the source of the mutation of viruses and bacteria, including the ones that cause malaria and lead to drug-resistant viruses. The World Health Organization says that gas emissions and particle pollution can affect our lungs, blood veins, and other body parts. According to WHO, the combined effects of ambient or outdoor and household air pollution cause about 7 million premature deaths every year, largely as a result of increased mortality from stroke, heart disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung cancer, and acute respiratory infections.